If you can get 95% accuracy on automated estimate building, all other SMSs will die immediately. You have total world domination in that space.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it's just like a nuclear arms race to see who can get there the fastest.
Yeah. I mean, we think we're well positioned there.
The following program features a bunch of doofuses talking about the automotive aftermarket. The stuff we or our guests may say do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of our peers, our sponsors, or any other associations we may have. There may be some spicy language in this show, so if you get your feelings hurt easily, you should probably just move along. So without further ado, here's your host, Mike Allen, with Confessions of a Shop Owner, presented by Tekmetric, the best software in the history of ever.
Sometimes I forget to hit the right buttons. It's because Braxton's not here. Braxton is green shirt. I think you met him at the track.
Yeah, I did meet Braxton.
Oh, I haven't talked about it on air yet. So we went to the Tekmetric.
We got to talk about this.
We went to the Tekmetric mid-market event. It was at Speed Vegas. Tuesday night, I think it was. And I got to drive. And they've got this 2-kilometer track out there.
Yeah.
And it's got a 2,000-foot straightaway and some sharp turns and some S's. It's a good time. But I got to drive Porsche GT3 RS and a Lotus. And which did you get to drive?
I did get to drive.
What did you drive?
So I drove an Aston Martin Vanquish, and then I also drove a Lamborghini Huracan. Yeah.
Which one was your favorite?
Oh, actually, this is going to reveal some things about me. I enjoyed driving the Aston Martin. The Lamborghini was faster.
Yeah.
Surprise! Shocking! Yeah.
So I felt like the Porsche was way faster, and I got a faster time in the Lotus, but I drove the Lotus second, so I think it was just a factor of I knew the track better.
Which Lotus was it?
I don't know. They only have one model. It was a little yellow one.
Like one of the newer ones?
Elan, at least?
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. But
are you going to reveal where you stood on the leaderboard afterwards? I don't remember.
I was top of the bell curve, baby. I was number 10 out of 23. So I guess I was on the leading edge of the bell curve. But shockingly, Braxton, who we tease constantly, he told me when we were getting there he had never been over 100 miles an hour in a vehicle. And he was third or fourth overall out of the whole group.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the dude who got first is Xfinity Series NASCAR driver.
Yep.
And then there was PJ was second. And then Paul, who is he a Meineke guy or?
He's from Quality Collision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was third. And then Braxton. Our little boy Braxton.
And by the way, that's how it all shook out. But I went up to Braxton when he was, I think, in third position, and he was ahead of the Xfinity NASCAR driver. We'll keep his name.
I mean, he's all over Tekmetric social media.
He is? Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So, anyways, now you have to understand though that for those who are listening, we're talking. It's at nighttime. There's a ton of cars on the track. So
that's my reasons. I never got a clean lap because I was passing people.
I totally didn't get a clean lap, and that's why I was further down the wrong side of the bell curve.
But so we're all in there, and CJ McLaughlin was the driver, and he was the last one on track. And we're like, oh my God, I really expected him to dominate, and he's in third place or fourth place or whatever. And we were watching, and on his last lap, he went from fourth place to winning by over a second.
Yeah.
And it's like he was just fucking with us the whole time, and then the last lap, he started driving it.
Yeah, I think so. And he set, now, we were at the end of the day, and he set the lap record for the day.
Yeah.
So, that was fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah, I had a blast. It was awesome.
How about Braxton? First time over 100 miles?
Yeah, he was when he got out of the car, his hands were shaking.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because he'd never done anything like that in his life. But, I mean, he took to it naturally. And he took the coaching really well.
Yeah. Mad respect to race car drivers. I mean, there's so much to process.
Oh, yeah.
So fast, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so that was super cool. But I do have to admit that Braxton embarrassingly beat me by 2 seconds. And on a 1 minute lap, 2 seconds is a lot.
Yeah.
So I was 103, he was 101. Some of the best lessons I've learned over the years don't come from a manual. They came from talking with other industry professionals who've been through the same struggles. That's kind of the premise of this show. That's what Tectonic 2026 is all about. Presented by Tekmetric, it brings the industry together under one roof to share real stories, compare notes, connect with people who live and work the same life every day. If you're looking for honest conversations and a stronger community, you'll find it at Tectonic 2026. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more and grab early bird pricing while you still can.
Look, here's the deal. I like to think that I'm pretty good at running an auto repair shop. It's what I've done for 20 plus years, but I'm not good at managing a marketing budget and all the different facets of a truly well-rounded marketing plan. There's mail, there's local advertising, there's website, there's Google AdWords, there's all the different things that go into that, and it's just not what I'm good at. So what I've chosen to do is to buy myself the time to focus on what I am good at while having someone else execute on all of those things at a way higher level than anything I could ever do. That's what turnkey auto marketing does for me. So if you feel like you could use some of that same magic, I'm going to recommend that you go to turnkeyautomarketing.com, get a free consultation, tell them that I sent you, tell them that Confessions of a Shop Owner sent you. You won't be disappointed.
Well, the NASCAR dude was 58 seconds.
Can I make you feel better?
Sure.
I was like 106.5 or something like that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. It's part of my role to make sure our customers feel better
so much.
after
I really
an event
appreciate
like that. So,
all right. So introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do for the best software in the automotive aftermarket.
The best. Yes. So my name is Jared Haleck. I'm the new Chief Product Officer for Tekmetric.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you can tell,
you've been with the company for a long, long time now.
Like 6 days.
72 hours or something. I don't know. So.
No, actually, my story with Tekmetric is somewhat interesting. I've been talking with Sunil for about 8 months now. And we, just trying to learn about each other really, 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 really. And by the way, for those who, are knee deep in the auto repair industry, one perspective I just might share coming in from outside of the auto repair industry is that what Sunil and team have built is very hard to do. It's remarkable from just an actual software as a service, mechanics, how a software as a service company is meant to operate. So that I was introduced to Sunil through a former colleague who's also at Tekmetric. And yeah, man, I was just super impressed with what they have done, super impressed with the customer base. I've got to meet some customers, and I got to tell you, it's the customers that really helped me, feel like this is going to be an exciting ride.
Well, it's a fun group of people, man.
It is so
especially
fun.
The ones that come to events like this. So
yeah, for sure, right? Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So my background is I've been leading product organizations, and for those who don't live and breathe software, essentially what a product organization does is we work with the business to help the business and its customers understand what to build in order to continue to serve them, to make life better, and ultimately, in the case of Tekmetric, to help them run their shops more efficiently, and serve them in a way that helps them, maximize their outcomes as a business, but also, and this is something that I've spent a lot of time in my career on, is making sure that the business is able to maximize and optimize the experience for their customer. So that's just a brief background on my story. I spent a lot of time in building software for people, ultimately with the aim of doing what I just described, but maybe to simplify it even a little bit more to help them do more in less time. Right.
So help me understand what your role entails. Now, are you in the backside actually programming, or are you leading a team?
Oh, yeah, good question.
Okay.
Good question. So in a software company, you're typically going to have what's called the research and development organization, so R&D. And within R&D, there's two basic functions. One is engineering, the people who are actually, figuring out how to write the code.
Nerds.
Yeah, the best kind. And then the other group of people are the people that are working kind of voice of the customer, out with customers, trying to understand the market, trying to figure out, what it is we can do to continue to, serve our customers, in a more effective way. So that's what what I do. It's officially called product management. We sometimes shorthand it. We call it product. Okay. So that's what myself and all the team members on my team we do, and we work very, very closely with the rest of the business, but our closest partner is typically going to be the engineering team.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. So we use R&D as an acronym in my world also, but for us it stands for rip off and duplicate. So when we see somebody doing something really cool that we think that we should use, we try to rip off and duplicate.
As far as I know, not much of that going on.
Okay. I think in your space that might be called theft of intellectual property.
Well, of which there is a lot of that going on in our space. You know what I mean? But
for sure. You want to name some names? Point some fingers.
Well, these would be from other industries that wouldn't be interesting to anybody listening here.
They sponsor a pod. The ones that are ripping you off, they sponsor a podcast right down the way.
Right. I'm staring at them through the glass right there. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
I don't want to get you in trouble.
Different industries. And by the way, different industries. So
cool. So the reason that I invited you on, I've been fortunate enough to talk to a lot of the Tekmetric folks over the last year, and thank you for the partnership. And I really enjoy being such a songbird for Tekmetric because I truly believe in the product, and I'm a user. Like, not only am I the owner of Hair Club for Men, I'm also a client, right? That whole thing. But we had a really great conversation talking about this AI revolution that we're going through right now, and different ways that that my company is currently using it, and some of the tools that are out there using AI to help streamline processes and make things more efficient, and then just kind of spitballing ideas about other ways that we could use AI in our space, just not to replace people, but to get better at what we're doing and be more efficient at what we're doing. So I'd like to kind of rehash parts of that conversation here with you, and I'd also like to pick your brain and hear about some of the interesting ways you've seen it being used maybe in other spaces that one day we might be able to pull into our space. Is that fair?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So one of the things that we talked about was the front counter process, the customer intake and the discovery conversation. And I have started looking outside of the automotive space for customer service personnel because of reasons, right? But I believe that it's a valuable possible source for new customer-facing employees. The drawback is that they don't know automotive, right? And so there's always been a gap between service advisors and technicians on the advisors don't get the right information or enough information from the customer to give to the technician, and it makes the technician's life harder, or it makes their job borderline impossible if they don't get the right information or the right volume of information. And so we're using some AI-based tools to feed that service advisor the questions that they should be asking and to create the appropriate narrative and write-up so that they can feed that the technician and make it more efficient and more effective, right? And that's been really good for us. The company that we're using is called Detect Auto.
I've seen them.
I'm sure that Tekmetric is also working on some tools along those lines. But the conversation that we had around that was, man, I really wish that AI could almost be like a personal assistant to that advisor during that discovery conversation, so that Advisor Joe can talk to Miss Jones and just have the conversation verbally, and it's creating the repair order for me while we're talking, because it's listening to the conversation, and maybe it's overlaid on the screen and it's telling me the questions that I should ask next in pop-up format, and then it's listening to how she's answering, and it's creating that repair order, and it's done, and all he's doing is having a conversation, and that becomes a functional written repair order. And are there tools available right now that we can execute on that? And if not, how can we maybe start moving towards that?
First of all, maybe it's worth stating that this is a super exciting time, at least from a technology perspective. I know for a lot of folks, they have a lot of questions about what this is going to mean for their business.
If you're like me, there's always hidden revenue in missed maintenance sales or overlooked customer concerns. Detect Auto helps auto shops unlock that revenue by analyzing vehicle service histories, pinpointing maintenance recommendations, and equipping advisors to confidently address customer questions. It's easy. It integrates with your existing software, and your team will love it. Check out detectauto.com and see how your shop can stop guessing and start selling better service recommendations today.
But we've never seen a pace or a rate of innovation, particularly around this topic of AI. We've never seen this, ever before. I have spent most of my career attached to some kind of machine intelligence, in my past my past roles, and the ability now for us to be able to just jump in and, with a few quick ideas that we just type out in plain English, actually have something that we can try and test out in an actual shop environment. I mean, this is pretty amazing, and I say that because, we'll talk a little bit about some ideas, but for those who are listening, I think some of what you ought to be thinking about is how can you take some of this, and maybe there isn't a product that does this yet. Maybe there will be some, but it is amazing. I went to my first shop visit, and I'm just watching them use it. And the last thing I expected in an auto repair shop was to see prevalent usage of ChatGPT. And that was the first thing that I saw as I was getting introduced to the industry. So there's a lot of shops out there that are already doing it. And if you're not doing it, it's really, really simple to do. And so let's get to your question about sort of what the opportunities are for AI. A couple of things here. Number one, if you think about the opportunity for AI to help us, it's really no different than any other solution that someone's trying to, implement in a process, in a business or whatever. There's typically two reasons you're going to try to implement a solution. Number one is you're going to try to save time, or number two is you're going to try to increase the accuracy at which you're doing a thing. If there's more than that, let's chat over Facebook. But that's generally the two things that people like myself are oriented around, because I've studied product long enough that those are the two areas that you can really take a solution to help solve a problem, save time, increase accuracy. So in the case of this sort of virtual customer service representative that you were hinting at. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of, probably 100 different use cases or ways that shops could envision using AI. And it's because AI is good at a couple of, AI in its current incarnation called large language models, or the abbreviation is LLMs. They're currently good at a variety of different things, but a couple of things that they're really, really good at is they're really good at speech to text, right? That technology's been around for a while, but LLMs have really, really made it cheaper, faster, more accurate. And then another thing that it's really, really good at is summarization.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, these are, and by the way, this is, ChatGPT or LLMs or whichever one you use, not even breaking a sweat doing any of those types of things. So let's just start with the basics. Yeah, those are really, really simple, ways that you can start to implement maybe some helpful assistance for your current teams. I'll give you an experience I had. I was in Detroit last week, and I was sitting at a shop, and I was just watching service advisors interact with customers. And I have to tell you, it was noticeable how much effort the service advisor was putting into trying to really be attentive to the customer to ensure that they're able to capture all the information, make sure the customer feels heard, and at the same time typing some notes, right? And I will tell you, I watched this conversation. It was probably a 15-minute conversation, and the number of words was less than 15 that were typed on the call. And then after the call, the service advisor had to take a beat or take a breath, and then start to have to retype all the detail. But then this is the thing that I thought was interesting. It might have been something that you shared with me as we were talking the other night, which is that service advisor is not only just doing a summary, that service advisor is also having to do a translation, right? So, the vehicle owner speaks vehicle owner, and the service advisor speaks technician.
In a good case, the service advisor.
Okay. In a good case, am I being generous here? Okay. And so now the service advisor has got to not only remember everything that they talked to him about, but also translate it into
Technese.
Technese, is that what we call it? Yeah. And so, by the way, that is something that AI is super good at. Super good at the summarization part. The part where it gets a little bit trickier is being able to translate it into Technese. But by the way, that's solvable with being able to freely connect to a lot of different systems out there. Maybe that sounds hard for people who are listening. A simple way of doing this, and I'll mention this because I've seen this in not just one shop, not just the first shop I talked about. I've seen it in several shops now. And again, I'm pretty new to the team here, but having seen in over half the shops I've visited some kind of use of ChatGPT in particular, you can go into ChatGPT and you can upload, hey, this is an example of what a customer told me. And this is an example of what I wrote up in our repair order system, our SMS, right? Hopefully it's Tekmetric, of course, right?
Of course it is.
Of course it is. And you can basically just say, hey, attach 2 PDFs and basically say, this is what customers are typically going to tell me. This is how I have to translate it to a technician. And that's a start. It's not going to be perfect by any stretch, but there are some really simple things that you can do today. Now, are there any products on the market that are doing this specifically? I think there are a few that are kind of down this path, like Detect Auto. I think there'll be others, potentially even Tekmetric, who's going to offer solutions like this. Because again, our goal is we want to provide the best solution for shops so that they can do more with less or do more in less time and be able to provide a really, really good vehicle owner experience. So in this particular example, it's a really good one because the vehicle owner is getting the full attention. Imagine a service advisor doesn't have to, try to take notes or doesn't have to try to think about how they're going to translate it to Technese while they're having the conversation. They can just pay attention to the customer.
Well, I think it really is. It's like they have a personal assistant standing next to them taking notes for them.
Yeah.
And they can just have the conversation and build rapport and build relationship and trust. And it's all being monitored and documented by my Tekmetric AI assistant or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah. One additional benefit too is if we're able to, leverage some kind of solution like that. Imagine now, instead of getting, 80% of the story because humans just, we don't have the time, maybe we don't have the memory. Yeah. There's going to be some fidelity that gets lost in those conversations. But if we can have high fidelity, recall of the conversations that we've had because that's stored in a system, that could also be of a benefit the next time that customer calls and that service advisor or maybe a different service advisor has to interact with that customer.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that's one use case that I found pretty interesting. I was talking to someone earlier this week about, using AI as a training tool, right? And there are a lot of people talking about that right now. The ones that are coming in from a training perspective pretty heavily in the industry right now is Rilla, who I think has been in home services for a while, in the mortgage space for a while, and they're coming in pretty hard right now with training advisors and close to real-time monitoring of inbound and outbound calls and giving feedback scores and that kind of thing. But I like seeing that, and we use in our company. We have ChatGPT, and we put it on voice mode, and we have a paid version, so it has learned our scripts. So we practice our presentations, and then we trade places, and we're the customer, and it's the service advisor.
Yeah.
And I really love that as a learning tool and a practicing tool. And I'm looking forward to the time when we can get the latency down so that it's truly conversational and you don't have that 2 or 3 second gap. Because that 2 or 3 second gap is really the difference between it being a viable call assistant, phone assistant, right?
Yeah.
And we're testing out some phone assistant issues for overflow and after hours calls, that kind of thing. Is Tekmetric still working on a phone system and a phone assistant system of that nature. Is that something that's going to come in the future? Maybe.
Yeah. Look, as many people know, we have a VoIP product that came by way of the Shop Genie acquisition. And as many know, we've sort of put the brakes on that a little bit. We still support our current customers there. But I will tell you, as I have visited shops, because part of my background is I spent about a decade in voice, building software around voice. It was for sales teams, so it's a little bit of a different use case. And one of the things that I've learned is voice can create, if you can integrate experiences with voice, which is one of the principal ways, or if not the principal way that shops interact with their customers, you can create some real magic for both parties, both for the service advisor and for the vehicle owner.
Okay.
So we totally see the opportunity in delivering those types of magical experiences to both service advisors or other folks in the shop, shop owners, shop managers, to some extent even technicians, and also vehicle owners. So we see that as a critical part of how we see our platform evolving so that we can deliver great experiences and reducing, for instance, we are already in so many shops as a well-liked shop management solution.
Yeah.
And golly, it makes a lot of sense that if we're taking, if we have a phone system that's connected to AI, that's connected with our SMS, we can start to connect the threads there and create a lot of what we just described without having to go and building it on your own and trying to test it on your own. And those are some of the things that we would like to do and be able to offer for our customers in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you, wow, that's not a fair question for you. You've been here for a week. I was going to say, can you give us a teaser of some of the things that might be on the horizon? But no.
I mean, look, we've kind of already talked about it. I mean, none of this stuff is, a lot of this stuff is fairly straightforward, and we don't, one of my kind of beliefs is, we have a lot of value in our current product, and so talking about the roadmap is not as controversial to someone like me, because I'm not too worried, because we have a lot of customers happy on our current product, and we're already adding a lot of value, and it doesn't take a lot of imagination to understand why it would be useful for us to be able to serve some of those scenarios or those use cases that we just talked about. Look, as I've gone into shops, I would say what shops are really looking forward to is, hey, I would like to be able to connect some basic information to Tekmetric. That's a starting point. Phone rings, I know before I pick up, the make, model, and vehicle of the person, if they're a returning customer, before they even have to tell me their name.
Yeah.
If they're not a new customer, I don't have to start a new customer record. I can press one button, the phone number gets ported in, and so forth.
Yeah.
But the real exciting stuff is kind of along the lines of what you described and what we were just talking about. Hey, maybe there's live transcription. Maybe there's call scripts that are associated with that. I mean, some of that we're still working out. So I actually genuinely don't know kind of where we'll take it. But I would just say this. I think we clearly see voice as a really, really powerful way to bridge some of these experiences for both the shop user and also for the vehicle owner. It's really, really, I think, fairly straightforward from that respect. Yeah.
So another wish list item for me, and this is not let's get on and record what Mike wants to see, but I think it would be useful and a time saver and efficiency increase, right? And I think there are some companies, again, that are working on this already in the space. But while doing the digital vehicle inspection, we take a lot of pictures and videos. We're leaning more towards video because we can talk to the customer and explain what we're looking at. But with static images, if there's a native AI built into Tekmetric, it already knows the VIN code of the vehicle that image is attached to, so it knows the year, make, model, and that kind of thing. And it's pretty reasonable to, I think, build an AI that can say, okay, I recognize that I'm looking at a CV axle because I've looked at 10 million pictures and they've been labeled this. And I recognize that boot is busted. And so I'm going to draw a circle around that boot in an arrow in a high contrast color. And I'm going to put text on the picture that says, broken CV boot could lead to axle failure, recommend replacement, or needs replacement, right?
Hey, it's me, Mike's kid. Want to tell us your wild shop stories? Or maybe you just think my dad's totally wrong. Call us at 704-CONFESS and leave a message. You can tell us we're awesome, or you can tell us we're idiots. We're cool either way. That's 704-CONFESS. Just don't make it too weird.
Because now we have to do a video to explain that, or we have to take a picture, and then go in there and draw the circle and the arrow and type it in. I think that should be a pretty easily attainable process to make the DVI process even more efficient, because a really thorough, really well-documented DVI is a time suck, and it's not something that most clients want to pay for. So it's a free time suck too, right? So if I can take that DVI process that a single good technician doing a really thorough DVI might take 45 minutes, if I can compress that to 15 minutes, because he's just going around visually and saying CV axle, class 2 oil leak, loose wheel bearing, whatever it might be. And then it do the rest of the documentation and the creating the visual imperative for that process. That sounds like a reasonable hurdle that would be really valuable to an end user like myself. So just note that away for future reference.
So now we got AI. So we talked about summarization. It's not even breaking it. Okay, let's go jogging a little bit with AI. So now AI is very good at vision. It's very good at taking an image and figuring out what it is. I'll tell you, the first demonstration that I saw of this was when ChatGPT first came out, and it was Microsoft. They had put a bunch of money in, and they said, we think this is going to be really powerful. And what they did is they showed us a picture of an upside down. So the picture was upside down, and it was of some esoteric angle of a 1997 series Brother laser printer. Okay. It was like, and this was the whole point, right?
Super random, right?
Something super random. And it was, tell me what this is, and it was like it was zoomed in, and look, maybe the demo was rigged, I don't know, but it came back, and it not only it gave the make, the model, the year. But then after that, they were saying, well, how do I change the oil, the printer cartridge and so forth? So this has been a capability that's been native to these large language models virtually since day one. So going back to your example, I think that's a really, really good use case. AI was built for that. And so I think the possibility of what you just described makes a ton of sense. I'll take it a step further, though, which is, okay, so here's what I've observed in my short time. I've observed, the technician is going around and taking pictures. Two problems that I have observed. One is just, look, there's a lot of checklist items on there. They're going to put more energy into some of them than others. So in other words, you're not always getting maybe the best inspection, because the technician's in a hurry, and it takes a long time to do a vehicle inspection and so forth. The second problem is, now that they have that, they have to go back to their desk, and this is what I've seen, is they'll take it with their phone, and then they'll go back to the desk because the keyboard's a better interface to type it, and it takes them time. And so you talked about that. Hey, what if the AI could actually just write up what's wrong with it? So the part that I was wondering about is, if I'm a service advisor, because as I understand it, the way that this generally works in a lot of shops is that DVI now gets kicked up to the front office, and the service advisor kind of translates it back from technies back into vehicle owner. You know what I mean? And in that process, you've talked a lot about training and so forth. In that process, there's lossiness, meaning there's something that's lost in that process, where either the advisor may not totally understand, or maybe the advisor doesn't know how to frame up how to communicate this to a vehicle owner in such a way that will increase the chances that the vehicle owner will actually say yes.
Word choices matter, right?
So one experiment that you could do is, you could say, hey, I not only want you to describe what this is, but I want you to tell me why the vehicle owner should do it, and this is the important part, what would happen if the vehicle owner didn't do it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever heard of loss aversion theory, but it's this psychological principle.
People would do much more to avoid losing something than they will to gain something.
Right. And so to the extent that, every service writer does that, I don't know, but that's something that's easily embedded, in some kind of AI like we just described. And look,
well, so I mean, we're doing that. So it's, give me 150 words at a 10th grade reading level on why you should replace loose ball joints on this Ford Explorer, and it knows. Well, we don't have to specify anymore because now it knows 10th grade reading level, and it knows that our preferred length is 150 words, and it knows that we want to know what happens if it's neglected. Yeah. And so then we can just copy and paste it in and that kind of thing. So, it totally makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Write the story in a way that touches all the right points, right?
Yep. Exactly. So, yeah, I think that there's so many other possibilities, related to this.
Well, the limits to what's possible is our creativity, because we don't know how to use this tool appropriately the way that other industries have already adapted it. So,
by the way, that's a principle that I, would leave for anyone who's, listening to this is, don't underestimate how powerful some of these models are. And if you have an idea, just try it.
Yeah.
And the kind of interesting thing about the way that those models work, meaning ChatGPT or Gemini or Anthropic, is it's really easy to try, and you may not think it's possible, but it might blow your mind, and maybe it's not possible. But to your point, I think there's some simple things that shop owners can start, ideating and dreaming around. There's going to be vendors like ourselves or partners like ourselves who are going to be bringing some of these capabilities and integrating them in. But the barrier to experimentation is really, really low, like crazy low. And that's kind of where I started, is you used to have a computer science degree plus a data scientist who had a PhD in computational linguistics or whatever. Nobody has any of that in our industry. But now it's all built in, and the cost to experiment's zero.
Well, so then the question becomes, how do you get really good at knowing how to write the prompts to get the results that you want? I think that's a skill set that we've got to develop, is the ability to write good prompts.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Can I share an idea there?
For sure.
And you probably already know about this, but for those who don't spend a lot of time in this this kind of experimentation yet with these AI models, one of the best ways to write a good prompt is just to write it in English and say, help me reformat this into a prompt that will get me better results. And essentially what it'll do is it'll format it in a way that breaks out the structure of what you're trying to accomplish, and that'll make it easier for you to edit it, so that you can get different results. And that's actually one of the hacks of writing prompts, is to actually have the AI write your prompt for you.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So. OpenAI, Grok, Meta AI, Gemini, which ones do you think that we should be leaning towards as we look for integrated AI services, as we wait for that?
I don't know if I have a strong perspective on that. I do have a perspective on different use cases, because generally what we'll do when we build products is we will look at them side by side, because we're always trying to give our customers the best and the most advantage. The reality is that the difference is... between them is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. For a time there, I would have said, OpenAI, don't waste your time with anything else. But all of them are getting so good. One of the other products I recently came off of, we were using Gemini because we found that Gemini was better at that particular task, and it was associated with lots of numbers and lots of Excel spreadsheets and so forth. Yeah. In my own personal use, I'm still using ChatGPT because I do find that it's a little bit more... I don't know. I find that it just gives me better results in terms of what I'm expecting to see.
What's the difference between the $20 a month subscription and the $200 a month subscription?
So as I understand it, the $20 a month subscription, first of all, the $20, there's the free subscription.
Yeah.
The $20 a month subscription, I think the principal reason why people buy the $20 a month subscription is for two reasons. And this is on pretty much all of them now, but in particular, I can say this for OpenAI and for Google Gemini. Most people are buying it because you get two things. Number one is the information you're putting
Your
in
settings are saved.
is not being used to train their next model.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So let's say we're a shop owner and we're inputting information, and that information might have stuff about your business that you wouldn't want other people to know, or some tech company in Silicon Valley.
So you're paying for a degree of privacy.
Yeah, you're paying for privacy. Okay. And then the second thing is you can create something called custom GPTs, and that allows you. It's actually what we were talking about earlier. I know you know what this is, but this allows you to create essentially your own version of ChatGPT or Gemini. Gemini calls them gems. ChatGPT calls them custom GPTs. And it allows you to give it just some basic information. Again, no coding. This is just writing. Or you can even just speech to text. You don't even have to write anymore. And just tell it, I'm a shop owner. I have, I'm located in this region. We generally focus on these types of vehicles. For everything that for all the information that gets put into this GPT, keep this context in mind that I'm a shop owner for these types of vehicles and so forth. You can attach information to it. There's all kinds of use cases for that. Those are the two reasons why the $20 a month are purchased. As I understand it, and I don't have a strong point of view on like whether someone should spend the $200 a month. That essentially gets you access to something called deep research, and deep research is something that basically spends a lot more time trying to give you an even better answer. But I'll tell you the issue I've had with that. The issue I've had is that it just creates, it's almost like you're paying, it's like a consultant. I don't know if you've ever hired a consultant.
Paying per word.
The joke about consultants is you're just paying per word in their proposal or their slides that they give back to you. My experience is it feels like you're paying for a consultant, and it's just trying to maximize the number of words it gets back to you. It is very helpful in many, many, many use cases, but for a lot of folks, the $20 a month is more than enough. Yeah, and even free is good enough if you're not too worried about those other two things we talked about. So
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
So if one of our listeners is a shop owner, a happy Tekmetric user, and they're looking for the easiest and probably most return on investment of time or money to start using AI while we're waiting for for Tekmetric to build out their own internal AIs, where do you think they can get the most gain? Do you think it's at the front counter? Do you think it's at the estimate building process, or?
Yeah, I mean, look, it could. I think there's probably a use case for almost anyone. So we've talked about two. Now, there's a couple of extra steps that someone would have to go through to do what we just described. First of all, what we just described assumes you have a phone system that can transcribe a call. Being able to use that information to summarize, what it is that the technicians should know about the call. I'll tell you one hack that I use is if you have, I'm in the Apple ecosystem, so you can use the Notes app, and you can just record yourself, and it's transcribing for you. And so you'll only be catching one half of the conversation, but I'll bet you in many cases, that'll be enough. Or maybe someone's coming into the shop, and they're standing across the counter from you. If you have your Notes app transcribing, then you can upload that into any of the models and just have it summarize it for you and have it format everything for you.
And you can also, and I don't know about Android, but you can set tap. So double taps, triple tap on the back of the phone, it will start certain features.
You can start it with your action button. Yeah,
you can start it up to just start recording notes.
Yeah.
And just triple tap, set it up on the counter, and it's going to listen to the conversation and transcribe.
I think there's probably also some use cases just in terms of interpreting information that comes out of Tekmetric. One of the things that I've seen a lot of people in the software world experimenting with is essentially natural language reporting. Right, so to the extent that you're able to get information exported out of Tekmetric, again, probably at this point want to buy at least a $20 license of one of these things, and you can upload that and actually have it give you and run some analysis on it. If it's a challenging analysis, or maybe you don't have somebody who's able on staff that can do that for you, that's a cheat code for some shops as well. Yeah.
All right, last question. Next year, we sit down and have the same conversation in the same booth. You're 12 months in. How far are we from launching automated repair estimating a year from now? I want parts and labor sourced and the estimate ready to go by the great AI overlord. How far are we from that?
Look, as you know, we already have smart jobs in our application, so we're probably on a tiered kind of set of steps that we're gonna kind of step up into something like that. So we have smart jobs today. The next step is to expand the number of smart jobs that we have in our platform. But then ultimately, there's a lot that we can do because we have a lot of the data, particularly around labor and what parts actually fixed the symptom. So that is actually a relative. So this is not necessarily a customer-facing feature, but a feature for us here is being able to use AI to help us more rapidly normalize and find insight or find signal in the data, so that we can do what you just described. I mean, that's kind of the end state in some people's minds, in terms of being able to have somebody, call up and give you all the information.
95% accuracy on automated estimate building. All other SMSs will die immediately. You have total world domination in that space.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it's just like a nuclear arms race to see who can get there the fastest.
Yeah. I mean, we think we're well positioned there, and so, especially with smart jobs, in place. To my knowledge, I'm not sure that there's anything else like it in other SMS platforms. So we're already have made some pretty big steps there, and I think it's fairly safe to say we want to keep pushing in that direction.
And I think it's also safe to say that, Tekmetric, without sounding like too much of a fangirl, I think Tekmetric is, clearing away the best in our space right now. And I think it's just a matter of stretching the gap out and stretching the lead out. So the rate of innovation and feature updates and upgrades. Are there problems? Is it perfect? Of course there are problems. No, of course it's not perfect. But man, I just know that the other softwares that I've used in my life in 21 years now in shop ownership, it's so much better than anything else I've used. So I think
we're excited to hear you say that.
I think you backed the right horse, man. So welcome to the Tekmetric crew, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Looking forward to it, Mike. Thank you very much for having me.
See ya.
Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our video today. If you enjoyed this content and you'd like to see some more, you can click right here. And it would be really helpful for me if you thought that this level of mediocrity is something that could help your other friends that were shop owners or in the industry. You can click right here and subscribe. You can even set up notifications if you want. I'd love to have you on the channel.